Why am I a supporter of Ron Paul's even after I've become aware of the racist newsletters put out under his name? Ron Paul's for liberty, smaller government, ending these foreign wars. Why is any of that attractive to me as a black man enough to overlook his failure to monitor what was going out over his name, under his name? Of Ron Paul's, even after I've become aware of these racist newsletters, comes down to believing that I don't think Ron Paul knew anything about what was going out under his name. From what I understand, there were a good dozen and more newsletters that went out over the course of several years that he lent his name to. They kicked back a certain amount of money, and that's where his involvement seems to have ended. I have researched Ron Paul since becoming aware of him in 2007. I don't see anything that says that the views in these newsletters are his views. He's talked about how Martin Luther King is a hero of his, Rosa Parks is a hero of his, he's an admirer of Gandhi, he's an admirer of the civil rights movement. He speaks out against the drug war, which is the most racist government policy today. Which brings me to my second point, this government worship, which is much more important than whether or not these newsletters went out under Ron Paul's name. The racist policy that Ron Paul decries about the injustices in the criminal justice system, following often the mandates of the federal government for sentencing when it comes to drug convictions, drug crimes. It's outrageous. This is plantation making stuff. We have a black community that's been devastated, one, by these government policies that have driven industries out of this country. The basic industries where any group that's trying to get its economic feet under it need. The industries that made shoes, that made umbrella handles, that made TVs, all of these industries that have gone out around the world have devastated the black community in the name of helping black people, increasing the minimum wage, even though everybody's common sense tells them if you increase the cost of an input, manufacturers will look to reduce that input. We've been reduced. This is the racism I'm concerned about. It's the racism that says if you are black, especially a black male, and you go in front of a judge and jury of just being in the possession of drugs, right? Of selling drugs, even, that you will spend time in jail. You haven't hurt anybody in a physical sense. You hurt the people you sell it to. Okay. Should you be thrown in jail for that? And should black people end up in jail in numbers that are disproportionate to our numbers in the population by 3 or 4 times? It's incredible. And then people would have black people support. And unfortunately, we do support because we have been perverted. We support these politicians, mostly Democrats. Although I am a political atheist, I have no feeling for the Democratic or Republican parties. They are both parties of big government. Just one wants big government to go overseas, and the other one wants big government to stay at home. And they even overlap so that we've now are regulated no matter where we go. The light bulbs in your house, whether or not you yell at your kids, dodgeball being played in school or not. The government is everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. And the government, it's a secret, but the government is made up of people like you and me. They don't know any better than you and me. They don't live any more righteous than I do, than you do, than anyone else. Most of them are lawyers, especially at the federal level. It's a great part-time job if you're a lawyer. These are the people who have taken unto themselves the power to regulate all things in life. All things in life. Unpasteurized milk. They're throwing farmers in jail for selling unpasteurized milk. This is crazy. This is crazy. Who are these people? Why do we listen to them? Why haven't we elected 1,000 Ron Pauls by now? Why haven't we elected so many Ron Pauls that the government has had to shut itself down just to keep more Ron Pauls from being elected? It's our fault. Well, your fault, not my fault. I don't champion these bastards. I don't encourage people to believe them. I marvel at those who do. But in this election, we have a choice that I have not had in my entire adult life. And I'm old. The first election I voted in was 1976. I voted for Jimmy Carter. Don't say, oh, he's a Democrat, who cares? He was running against Ford. You like Gerald Ford? Do you know Gerald Ford? I didn't either. I just voted for Jimmy Carter because he was the Democrat. That's, what you were expected to do. I did it. I was young. I was stupid. It was my patriotic duty as a citizen. Last time I was suckered. The last time. It doesn't take much looking to realize that this political game is a farce. It has been played one against the other while doing the same thing my entire adult life. You young people who are waking up, don't go back to sleep. It will lull you back to sleep. Something will come up and you'll go, oh, well, I need to be a Republican because therefore that I need to be no, you don't even need to be a libertarian. You need to think for yourself. You need to think in terms of what you can do and what your family can do and what your community can do and what your nation can do, but voluntarily. Not because you're being herded by a bunch of lawyers who claim they know how to organize your life better than you know how to organize your life. That somehow they are selfless. They're not. There are selfless people in this world. There are a lot of them. They're just not in government, by and large. And seemingly the ones who get in government don't stay selfless very long because it's hard to resist all the shiny new toys that are put in front of you once you get in elected office. It has ruined the best of men, the best of women. No, young people, and anyone else, you need to actually think for yourself. You need to know the righteous people who are around you. Judge politicians and other people by those people who you know in your life who you consider righteous. For me, it was my grandmother, amongst other people. Fortunately, I've had a lot of righteous people in my life because there really are a lot of righteous people out there. Not that people don't do wrong, commit sin, but they're basically righteous.